All right, so it looks like we're live. Um, to make this short, essentially what I'm doing is I have some free time on my hands, so I wanted to do a little Google Hangout on one of the underrated prospects that I've seen this year. Really, I just didn't want to put out a piece on it, and I kind of wanted to show you guys some tape that wasn't like grainy vines, and I hope everyone can hear me totally fine. I had no one on the other side listening to me, so I'm just kind of doing the solo. Basically, what I wanted to do is show you guys Marcus Rush, who played 4 years at Michigan State. He was a four-time honorable mention in the Big Ten. He's Michigan State's all-time starts leader. He ranks seventh in both sacks with 18 and a half and tackles for losses with 37 and a half in Michigan State history. Um, he's only 6'1" and change when he was measured at his pro day, but he had one of the fastest three cone times I'd ever seen. And he, yes, indeed, is a force player. Really, no one is talking about this guy as a draftable prospect. The only guys who really came correct on him when I was asking about him were Ian Wharton, who said he was a solid run defender and a fringe draftable slash priority free agent, and Dane Brugler, who I believe has a late round grade on him. I outside of that, I hadn't heard of him, which is kind of amazing for a 4-year starter in a Power 5 conference. He's a boundary defensive end. One issue he has is he's almost 24 already. He's essentially a year younger than Robert Quinn, who was drafted in 2011. To put that into perspective, he was also an invite to the NFLPA game, which has put out, a top 100 pick in Kyrie Thornton last year, but still is probably the third rung in All-Star games. So now I'm just going to try to play through this. I can go frame by frame in AVS as opposed to watching on YouTube. So what we have here is this is one play that I wanted to show you guys of what he can't do. Rush really is an edge player only. He's not going to be able to be a guy who can bump down on nickel reps and dime reps on third and long situations like here where he's bumped inside. This is actually him right here. I don't know if you guys can see the little arrow. If someone could at me on Twitter and tell me if you guys can see the arrow or not, that would help a lot. He's a boundary defensive end, but right now he's kicked inside into what looks like to be the B gap between the left tackle and the left guard. The issue with that is he's not able to really create force from like speed to power. He's really a bender, and that's really all he does. So you can see here as I go through this, when he gets up and he just gets locked in, and then that's kind of just it. He gets locked up with the left tackle, Donovan Smith, and when he's not able to go outside, he can't really do much. I believe this next cut is also going to be a similar play. Yes. So right here, once more, he's actually an edge player on this play. He's playing left defensive end here. Like I said, he's a boundary defensive end. That's how they play at Michigan State. The field side is Shalik Calhoun, who generally most people in draft Twitter know he's being talked about as a potential first rounder, even though I'm not a huge fan. And probably the biggest reason for that, at least them being boundary and field, is Shalik Calhoun is going to be able to get into the passing lane because he's like 6'5", something like that. And Rush is only 6'1", so that's why they have him coming off of the short side. So right here, Rush is actually lined up as a defensive end, as an edge player, but he does this little stunt where he comes inside and he thinks he has it because right here you see the right guard is locked in with the tackle. Then you have the right tackle past him, and then you have the running back looking outside to block someone. So what Rush thinks is, oh, okay, I have an inside lane. I can just get to Hindenburg. And then he comes inside, the guard works off, and the guard just kind of stonewalls him. And he stonewalls him to the point where Rush even like starts jumping because he knows he can't do anything. That's a major concern for me. In certain circumstances, I guess you would say. What Rush is really going to do is he's going to be an edge rusher, and that's it. And these plays are just kind of examples of that. And he can win as an edge rusher, and I have no issue with him playing out there. And these issues don't have, any credence out there. But it just kind of tells you, okay, he's not going to be able to do X, but he's going to be able to do Z. Here we go again. He's lined up as an edge rusher on the right side this time, going up against Donovan Smith. So what he does here, and Donovan Smith is a legitimate, NFL prospect. I believe he was at the Senior Bowl. I believe he was one of 2 offensive linemen who actually would have counted as force players because someone actually had me run the numbers on it, and I believe it was Donovan Smith and Laken Tomlinson from Duke who actually passes force players. So it's not like Donovan Smith is some sort of chump or something like that. Chandler, me referring to Hackenberg as Hindenburg is on purpose. So you have him coming down as an edge rusher on the right side. And what Donovan Smith tries to do is he tries to win with power a lot, just because he's so much bigger. He'll just lean on you and just try to collapse you. Right here, you're able to see a little bit of his bend. And what Rush does is Rush just kind of gets his hands out a little bit, right? And it messes up Donovan Smith pretty badly. And then after that, you see the bend, and you actually can see his arm coming up for that rip, that left arm. So he just kind of hits his hands to just kind of take his hands out of play, bends and rips. And that's some of the stuff that you see with Vic Beasley, and that's why I'm such a huge Vic Beasley fan. And then here comes Rush, closes on Hindenburg, brings him down for a sack. That's just kind of it. And that's really how he wins. If I were to kind of show you his best of plays, all of Rush's best of plays usually come that way or with a counter move. He's got very good hands and he's got very good bend, and those are kind of rare traits. Here we see Rush again, and there's a little bit of holding from Smith here, but all NFL linemen are going to hold in very efficient ways. But like I said, where he's not able to really convert speed to power, that's kind of his issue here. He comes in, and then it's just kind of like, all right, well, I'm kind of stonewalled, and I'm just going to hold my spot because I can't get away from it. And like I said, there was some holding on that play, but that's going to happen at the next level too. He's at the top of the screen this time, going up against the right tackle, looks like. You see the lower body bend right there, how he's able to not just be a, straight up runner. He's not going to look like Nick Perry out there on the edge. That's what that play shows. By the way, these cuts are all from Draft Breakdown. Shouts to all the Draft Breakdown guys. These cuts are from the Hindenburg game against Michigan State last season, and then I believe the other cut. Which game is it? I forget which game it was. It was the Nebraska game. It's the Shalik Calhoun versus Nebraska cut is the other one that I was going to show you guys. So here we see good bursts off the line of scrimmage up at the top of the screen. Like I said, he's the boundary again. And then you see the full body and lower body bend right there. That's what I wanted to show. You see the flexibility with him all around. Even though he's only 6'1", he's a very bendy player, even though he's pretty stocky too. I tried to get Andrew Parsons to watch Rush, and he refused to because he said he only has enough love in his heart for one short, stocky white edge rusher this season, and that's Anthony Chickillo, his boy from Miami, for him. So if we could get Andrew Parsons to watch Rush, that'd be awesome, guys. And this is one thing you see consistent with Rush is when he's lined up as an edge defender outside of the tight end, and the tight end is going to run a passing route. Really, he's going to game that tackle. So what he's going to do with that tackle, he's going to spin either inside or outside based on how he overcorrects. And like I said, this is another thing that Vic Beasley does, and this is one reason I think Vic Beasley is the best player in the draft. So you see here, he takes that inside step right there, try to get him, and then he just spins off on the outside, loses Donovan Smith completely, comes in, doesn't really get the tackle. I mean, he gets enough of a pressure, but there's also pressure from two other guys on the opposite side. He pretty much just touches Hindenburg's foot here, but as the other guys come down with a sack, and if it wasn't for him, maybe he'd be able to roll out faster or something like that. But on most plays, that's a decent pressure, and you see him able to right there, just that little spin move that I'm gonna fake inside, spin outside move. Very impressive. He's here at the bottom of the screen, going up against, I believe that's Jesse James, the tight end, who a lot of people like. He just slides past. Once again, just that little hand swat. You can see that hand coming up. That little hand swat to just kind of numb the hands, and then they're left there kind of reaching. I mean, that's really the same thing that happened to Donovan Smith, except for Donovan Smith was kind of reaching at the ground. Jesse James is just kind of reaching out to both sides, just has his arms out and doesn't get a touch on him. You see the bend right there. I mean, you see how low he can get. That's really impressive that he's able to keep his balance like that. Then you see the redirect, which is another one. See right there, you can see the lower body bend and flexibility there. Closes in on Hindenburg. Ends up knocking up the ball. I think there's a reverse. There's like a sideline or a end zone angle. Too. Maybe not. There's not. So we'll look over that play again. So you're seeing good bursts off the line of scrimmage, going up against the tight end, pro level tight end probably. See the little hand swat, numbs the hands, has the speed to run around, has the bend, flexibility, and balance to bend around the tight end, redirect, and get to the quarterback. Comes in, hits the arm, ball goes flying in the air, behind the quarterback. Sack fumble. All right. So, like I said, this is the Shilique Calhoun cut for the Nebraska game. Don't pay attention to where the box is. Pretty much pay attention to the opposite side of where the box is, because the box is going to highlight Shilique Calhoun, who, like I said, is going to be the field defensive end, where Rush is going to be the boundary defensive end. So Rush is at the top of the screen here. Also fighting off a cold. So if you guys want to have fun with that. Oh, this is actually – so one thing is Rush is actually a very, very, very good run defender, and he plays assignment football very well. But this was a one slip-up of the 3 games that I saw, because I also watched him against Oregon. This is one where he messed up and he got a little bit too over-aggressive. So right here, I mean, he's a defensive end in a 4-2 look, basically. He's got outside containment on this tackle, right? So he needs to keep an outside shoulder clean. Right here, he's doing perfectly fine, right? But right there is where the issue comes. So he sees Ameer Abdullah look inside. So he starts going inside. So you see him working across the left tackle to work back inside and try to be the hero. But the problem is 34, who I believe is Taiwan Jones, kind of fills the hole. So Ameer Abdullah says, oh, okay, I have to bounce outside. The issue is you no longer have outside containment because you were working inside because you wanted to be a hero. So what happens is Ameer is able to go outside, and our boy who has outside containment is on the ground. And that's not a huge deal. I mean, they're able to stop the play for, basically a 1 yard loss or an even loss. But that's still him messing up his assignment, because if Taiwan Jones fills that hole, I mean, Ameer Abdullah is already going into the backfield because 43 is pushing his dude, and Taiwan Jones is right there to fill. He would have gone outside right to Rush, and Rush could have had the tackle for loss for, 3-4 yards. So that's about, like I said, it's not a huge deal. It's a 3 to 2 yard difference at the end of the day. But it's him messing up his assignment, and that's something you rarely saw with Rush. Rush is a very good run defender. This is all weird. And tell me, you guys, hit me on Twitter right now if you guys are watching this and if it's too grainy, because I know when Matt Waldman does this, just from experience and watching his stuff, if you play it in full speed, you're not going to be able to catch it. But I'm trying to go frame by frame and stuff, so it's a little bit easier. I know he could do it in half speed and stuff, but I wanted to be able to show you guys when Rush is able to rip that arm up, that you could actually see that arm physically ripping up. All right, so he's at the top of the screen, up on the edge, past the tight end. Once again, the tight end. So, like I said, this is the same thing. Like, if I'm writing the Rush kind of like game plan on like tendencies of what he does, if I was going against Rush, this is the first thing that I know. If the tight end leaves and he's lined out outside of the tight end, he's running a spin counter move. And that's exactly what he does against this left tackle. where he goes outside. The tackle completely sells himself outside. He's looking toward the sideline, rather, and then Rush just does that little inside spin, and the quarterback, I believe Tommy Armstrong is his name, is rolling out to the right, so it doesn't really matter in the play. But like I said, I just wanted to show you guys that this is kind of a tendency that you see over and over again with him. That you see the tight end leave, and it's just him in space against a tackle, and he's just going to game a counter move off of him with a spin. Got here down near the end zone. He's at the top of the screen over the right tackle, wide side. This is another thing that he does very, very well is he takes on blocks well. You see the fullback over here come all the way back toward the backside of the play and try to cut down Rush, and Rush just kind of drops his shoulder and just kind of hammers him. So we see right here, ball's out, and they're just trying to take out the weak side defender so he doesn't come back and clear out the play, and Rush just kind of drops the dude. Just drops his shoulder and leaves him on the ground. At the bottom of the screen here, over the left tackle, this is a really good play, actually. The right guard comes in and pulls, and Rush doesn't get too aggressive and sees, oh, okay, run play, I'm free, go after the ball, because that's how you get kicked out in these situations with pulls and stuff. So what he does is, he gets about a yard depth behind the line of scrimmage. He shuffles down with his shoulders perpendicular or parallel to the line of scrimmage, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. He holds his own against a right guard. And you got to remember, this is an edge rusher who's about 6'1". He should be absolutely getting, blown out by these type of players. And he holds his own. Tommy Kelly sees that there's nothing inside, so he bounces outside. Or not Tommy Kelly, Tommy Armstrong. Bounces outside. So while Rush holds his own at the point of attack behind the line of scrimmage against a pulling right guard, he's still parallel to the line of scrimmage and is able to make a play on Armstrong when he pulls down the ball. I mean, that's just assignment football. That's outside containment. That's everything. When you're looking at like run defending edge rushers, especially if they're undersized, I mean, there's nothing more you can ask than exactly what Rush just did on this play. Rush is on the edge on the right side, so this is an end zone view. So he's going up against the right tackle. The right tackle lets him go past. I believe this is when he does a bunch of swim moves. So he's up against the tight end, and you see slaps the back, gets in, arm over. See that little swim move, that little arm over move. It's past the dude. Tight end's grabbing for air like you saw against Donovan Smith, like you saw against Jesse James, the NFL tight end. He loses balance, gets balance again, goes towards the running back. Same thing. Slaps the back because the back is trying to go low on him, and he just does this little arm over move. And if the tight end didn't recover and get him in the back, he probably ends up getting the quarterback. He did create a pressure, though. I mean, Armstrong does end up moving because of what he did on this play. So once again, like I said, you see arm over, gains balance, arm over, creates a pressure, and he gets taken out by the tight end from the backside. Totally fine. See from a different angle here, top of the screen. That little head bob, too, that's another little thing that he's doing. Just trying to keep the guy balanced, trying to see if there's anything you can take in control of. Catches the guy reaching back. If you didn't get a good chuck on him, you're not going to get him. Arm over. Once again, right arm on the back, left arm up and over. Two nice little swim moves that got the pressure. His teammate ends up getting the sack. Bottom of the screen now. This is really interesting because I think when I tweeted this play out in a Vine, and I think that the tackle has something like 6 inches and like 80 pounds on him. Rush just comes in quick off the line of scrimmage. Just that same little hand move where he's going to swat the outside hand of the tackle, and then he's just going to rip. I mean, you just see him right there. or he's already saying, okay, I'm in control of you and I'm putting you behind me, about, what is that, 2 yards, or 2 yards, a yard and a half behind the line of scrimmage. Rips that arm up, and what's amazing is that at such a small size, he's able to consistently generate forward momentum through, contact. He's a small dude, and he's still like riding this out, and the guy's not stopping him at all. That right tackle isn't stopping him anywhere near closely, and he ends up falling off of him. Rush comes in, ends up tackling Armstrong. I think it was just a quarterback hit because they ended up calling this play an incompletion. But I mean, 9 times out of 10, that's a sack, or a sack fumble even. And backed up against the end zone, that's kind of amazing. I mean, he just completely beat this tackle. There goes a little hand movement. Here comes a rip, and then he's just able to generate enough force to keep on keeping on, just going straight to the quarterback. He's bending and turning and redirecting with, a guy who outweighs him by about 80 pounds and is just way taller than him, kind of on his back, and it doesn't really bother him at all. That's kind of rare. That's why I'm saying Rush was a guy. I mean, I had seen Michigan State games before, and I hadn't really gone out to look for him, so I hadn't really, even known his name until about last week. But when you go back and watch his stuff, he's really an interesting player. He's kind of a fascinating guy because of how well he does the things that he does well. This is sort of a similar play to that play with the guard pulling. So he sees he's free. He is not going to be bothered by anything. That guard ends up coming and pulling once more, that right guard. So it kind of looks like it's going to be the same play again. You see him a yard behind the line of scrimmage, shuffling. Like I said, shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage. The guard doesn't end up going for him, though, because it's a read option. He ends up going to second level. So what ends up happening is Rush is here at the mesh point and is going to decide which guy to take over. He keeps that outside containment on Abdullah as long as he needs to. And then once he sees that Armstrong has the ball, he comes inside on Armstrong, makes the tackle. Once more, just assignment football, very, very good run defender. This time in space, last time it was through contact. He's at the top of the screen here. Once more, the boundary defensive end going up against. So right here, he runs that counter move again, and it's because that tackle, once tackles are so afraid of your speed, you can kind of just completely take advantage of them. Vic Beasley does this a lot. So what happens is, so he's going outside. The tackle completely sells himself out at this point, right? I mean, he's staring at the sideline before he even makes contact with the guy. I mean, you see his arm all the way down at this point, but he's, staring at the sideline. So I want to freeze it right there where you see his legs are still going, basically pointing toward his end zone, which is not good. And that's kind of his body just completely selling out. Okay, we need to protect outside. And what Rush does from here is Rush sets up that counter swim, or that counter spin, rather. So inside spin, Armstrong gets the ball out quickly, but once more, he shows that he could take advantage of a guy when he gives him something, and that's really important to me. He can win in multiple ways, either by bending or that counter or that swim move. Or, he just wins in all sorts of techniques, which is kind of important. Because if you get a power guy, so a power rusher, speed of power rusher, and you're going against a guy who absolutely can just slow you down, then what does that power rusher do? He's just getting stonewalled the rest of the game. Rush kind of has a repertoire of, weapons, and he's able to kind of pick and choose when he needs to use what and when. All right, so Rush is at the bottom of this. This play must have started late, or like the video cut into it late. What I can already tell you, though, is there's a tight end running coming off the line of scrimmage. So what's probably going to happen is probably another Rush spin move. I can pretty much tell you that, or something else. Oh, never mind. He gets another little rip. Like I said, it looks like for some reason the tackle just wants to get his hands quickly on him. It must be maybe it's a quick throw, and and Rush is just able to beat him off the line of scrimmage, and then you see that arm come up on that rip. He puts him behind. He's able to bend, and he's just trying to bend toward the quarterback. And yeah, it was a quick throw. It was just a little spot throw. So that makes sense. But once more, you see that little rip move. You see his ability to bend. Almost closes on Armstrong. Top of the screen here, past the tight end. Countering inside. Oh, this is another thing. So this was an interesting play because we had seen him try to go inside even on stunts before, and what happened is he got stonewalled. But here, he kind of like goes through the left guard. He just kind of like reverse pancakes him. So you see him coming, and it looks like he was going to go through. The B gap, but what happens is that guy pulls. So he ends up coming inside too, kind of just following the guards, which is kind of what they tell you to do in the run game. So he's coming inside, and then he goes up against the center, or what is that? The right guard. He ends up going against the right guard right there, 74, and he just like takes out these guys. So he goes up against the right guard, but it's the center who kind of transitions toward him, and as he's making contact with the right guard, Rush just kind of reverse pancakes the center and just kind of takes him to the ground. I mean, he's just getting dominated, and then Rush is able to get the sack on him, or get him to throw away the ball. I thought that was a sack, but able to get him to throw away the ball right there. That force that he's able to generate, he's kind of coming in low, even for his size, just because of the way he's running. So I don't know if he's just not getting low enough when he's converting speed to power, or if it's this extra space that he's able to generate for speed to power to get the top speed to generate the force, or what. But he was able to take down a full-grown center here when he had him before, and part of it might be the center's technique. I mean, you can see right here that he's not totally balanced. But that was just an interesting play because you don't really see that anywhere else on tape, at least that I had seen in the 3 games that I had seen Rush. We go at the bottom of the screen. Once more, it's that little counter move. It looks like he's going outside. He takes that hard step right there. That step right there is what you see was with the hard step. Then he kind of gives him that dead shoulder. Ole, just that little Ole move, comes inside. I mean, it's no big deal, but it's just showing that he has counter moves once more. Bottom of the screen here. Right there. Gets inside his chest. Good hand placement. Drives. And then right there, he kind of realizes I'm not going to be able to, like, the left tackle right about there drops his anchor. And he kind of knows that he's not going to be able to go through his anchor because he doesn't have that much power. So what he kind of does a cost-benefit analysis and says, okay, I'm just going to try to get my arm up and try to get in the way of a play. So you see a little bit of speed of power here, but not enough to finish. And NFL tackles are going to have better anchors than the left tackle in Nebraska. I can tell you this just by watching this left tackle in Nebraska over a couple games. He's not the greatest player out here. You see potential with Rush if maybe he gets a little bigger, but I don't know how much more his frame can hold. Like I said, he's already kind of a stocky dude for his height. So I just don't really know if he's going to be a speed of power type of guy. That's not really where he wins. He's absolutely a bender and a run defender. Team against the left tackle again. He gives him that dead shoulder. Gives him that dead shoulder while he's bending. And then you see that little rip. You see that arm coming up right there. You see that rip. But that left tackle bit so hard on him that he actually locks up his arm with Rush's arm. So in what would normally be a sack, Rush gets dragged to the ground. And the tackle's called for holding. And he's still able to get that pressure on Armstrong, thankfully. I mean, that's an easy call for the ref. I mean, dude basically tackled him. See Armstrong just kind of throw a YOLO ball deep down 27 to a 9. Let's look at this again. So it's Rush, gives him that dead shoulder, able to bend because he gives him that dead shoulder. I mean, that's amazing balance right there, how low he's able to get. Tries to rip that arm up and get past him, and probably would have gotten that sack on Armstrong if there wasn't that holding call. But the left tackle basically, tackles him, and then Armstrong throws that deep ball. Top of the screen here, over the right tackle. I mean, the right tackle is totally sold out on speed, like the left tackle has before. You see his feet right there get messed up because it's that same concept of him just trying to run backward to kind of negate his speed, and Rush will just dominate you if you're playing scared like that. So Rush just kind of generates power, bends, and just kind of flips the guy over. To be totally honest, I mean, he just kind of leaves him discarded on the ground. Like I said, if you give Rush a way to win, he will beat you. And really, just the easiest way to play against him is just go against his bend move. That's really what you have to do, because there's really no other way to beat him, because he has all these counter moves, and he has good hands, and he knows how to swim, and he knows how to spin. You just kind of got to bet on yourself and bet that you could beat his ability to bend. That's the only shot that you have. Just force him to run the arc, because you can't give him anything easier than the arc. Right there, you see a little quick move where it's that inside move again, right there. He takes that step, he spins, gets free, closing speed on Armstrong, throws his hands up, being incomplete. And that's it, guys. All right, so hope you guys kind of enjoyed that. I like Marcus Rush. He's a guy that really, like I said, outside of like Dane Brugler and Ian Wharton, when I had brought him up a couple nights ago when he passed through Force players, no one really talked to him or talked about him. He's a guy that I suggest you guys all look at. I probably will end up having about a 3rd round grade on him, to be totally honest. And he's probably a guy who, at least if you believe, quote unquote big draft, is going to get undrafted. So that's kind of an interesting split that I've seen. I don't know if there's a larger split outside of maybe Shane Ray, of me being low on Shane Ray in this draft class. So, like I said, I'm going to try to do these every once in a while. I can't promise any sort of date or anything. But if you guys enjoy this, and if the quality wasn't too bad or too choppy or something, I'll keep trying to do this on whenever I have like a day off or something like that. So thanks for spending this time with me, guys.